environment and human being, it is very, very crucial in the part of both human and also in the part of environment. Because if you look at this relationship, the human being is living in the lap of the nature. For each and every requirement, since the inception of this human society, the human being, or since the inception of creation of this society or the creation of this environment, the human being is completely dependent on the nature for its survival. So the question is, does human being only depends upon the environment, or environment also depends upon human beings? Because there is a kind of interrelationship between human and environment. Because if the human being destroy the environment, then the environment will react. And if human beings takes care of the environment, then ultimately the environment will be cherished, and at the same time it will help the human beings. That we'll discuss today. So if you look at the contemporary days, why we are today debating about the relationship between the human and the environment, and also the question arises, so does the human being in the contemporary era is taking care of the environment or not? So that is very, very crucial in the contemporary days. If you look into that, in the contemporary era, the human have the colonialized the virtually the every environment of the planet. So means the human being have colonialized the entire environment. What is the intention of the human being? Human being is trying to extract the nature to fulfill its own interest. Though today we are all telling about the sustainability, we are all debating about the sustainable development, but in reality what is exactly happening, that the human being who is telling always about the sustainable development is not ready to compromise with their own interest. Means he wants to fulfill his own interest first, then thinking of the interest of the future. He's always thinking that present is the golden era, and he always wants that to enjoy the present, not the future. So what I'm telling, the human being is not bothered about the future generation, rather is only bothered about their themselves only. So what I'm telling here, the human being is trying to extract the nature as much as possible, either in the form of different industry and or in the form of destruction of the environment for their own interest. So means the population is increasing, and to meet the ever increasing requirement of the human being is adopting the new technology and extracting the environment, using different kind of pesticides, using different kind of fertilizers, which is against the soil, which is against the environment. And in the name of agriculture, he is trying to make the agriculture more profitable, and to meet the ever increasing demand of the human beings, he is using the different kind of pesticide which is killing the weeds. And then what is happening? He is destroying the soil quality and also killing the different insects which are very friendly to the earth. So we need earthworms for the survival, but using the pesticide we are also killing the earthworm which is considered as a friend of soil. So if you look at this context, now you see we are all creating awareness throughout the globe. The awareness is continuing, and we are all trying to create the awareness in the minds of everybody regarding the save environment, save water, save air. Every time, everywhere, we are all demanding for the save environment, save air, save water and all. But what ultimately is happening? The human being who is speaking about sustainable development, the human being who is speaking about the kind of the green environment is standing in a crossroad and giving a contradictory speech. Means He's speaking something and doing something. And if you look at its history and all, the human being historically, I'll come to that past and all. But if you look at the contemporary days, the history is being dead here, and the human being has completely changed its nature and approach. Now, we are not much worried about the threat from our neighbors. We're not much worried about the threat from the arms race. Rather, the entire world is much worried about the climate change. Look at it. No doubt we have our own enmity, but our enemies are not the outsider, rather our enemies are we ourselves. Because we ourselves are destroying our own environment, which is a major challenge, which is coming in the form of tsunami, which is coming in the form of different disaster, which is really creating a threat to our survival. Because in front of us, we become the enemy of extincting different animals. Today we are destroying the animals. Today we are destroying the ecological habitats of different animals, different plants, and tomorrow our time will come because we will not able to, because we lose an ecological balance. Today we are not understanding the importance of ecosystem, the importance of ecology. We are not understanding the relevance of living all together in the same environment. If we lose today some plants, if we lose today some of the insects, if we lose some animals today, then tomorrow our existence will be under question marks. Now, we don't have much respect for the nature. See, whenever we are reciting our scripture, reciting our Purans, reciting our mythology, it reveals that we have a utmost respect for the nature. I'll come down to that today. But ultimately, what is happening in the total? The same human beings who always claims that I am a great followers of Indian culture, I am a great followers of Indian mythology, but doing something wrong. What is doing? We are all busy in doing some task which is progressively helping in declining the natural resources, the local environments, our ecology. The main reason is that the mankind and nature are related to each other. In any change kind of environment, in any change to our technology, will definitely bring a loss to the environment. Because what I'm telling means, if you look at the relationship between man and environment, any change to the human approach, any change to the human technology will definitely bring a kind of loss to the environment. And if there is any loss to the environment, so it will also bring a loss to the kind of local kind of means the human beings. Means changing our approach, changing our technology will definitely affect the environment, and any change to environment will ultimately affect the human beings' life and survival. Because this climate change, it is becoming, you see, now because of this climate change and all, why it is coming? Because the human beings destroyed the nature. In the name of construction, we have destroyed the forest, the rainfall has gone down. Sometimes because of our extraction and all, different kind of disaster is happening. And because of all this disaster, who is the loser? Loser is ultimately the human beings. Okay. So means, again the question will come, does human beings, can human beings fight with the environment? That is also again a serious question in front of us. Mankind has to depend on nature for their food, for shelter, for medicine, for clothing and other necessary things. The animals has to completely depends on the local environment for their survival, and also on local nature. So you may see, it does not mean that I depends on nature, that means I have to exploit the nature. We have to understand the relevance of the nature in our survival. Means wherever I am dealing with the nature, I should not think about extraction. Rather, I should take something which is required for my survival. look into, the human being is so greedy in nature, because the human being, once the Mahatma Gandhi told that our environment has everything to meet the needs of the human beings, but our environment has nothing to meet the needs of the human beings. So that means, you see, we are much greedy rather than much needy. Are we really needy? No, we are greedy, because if I am needy, I can survive. I can take something from the nature and survive the things. See, the human attitude is that if something is freely available, I can extract everything. If I tell that there is a kind of garden which is completely restricted, and if you want to get into that garden, so you have to pay 100 rupees to get into that garden, and if you pluck any fruits, you will be penalized. Or you can only pluck one fruits and for your one entry, then your restriction will be very much limited. But if tomorrow I will make that garden completely open and there is no restriction of plucking the fruits and all, you will see that the same human beings yesterday who behaved differently will get into that garden and take as much as fruits he requires before somebody else is. And we have a tendency, if I won't take, others will take. So that's why better before others reach, I can completely vanish. I can completely take away all these fruits. So that is means I know that fruits will be not useful for me, but still I have a tendency to take away all these fruits. I may throw it, I may not, because I have a small family, all these fruits may not be required for my family, but still I have a tendency that I will take away all these fruits, and because if something is freely available, I can take away. So that is the tendency. By understanding the working culture, we can understand that the seasonal rainfall pattern, the methods of cropping, the methods of conservation of water, various soil types, and the requirement of the soil for the production and for production of food crops. If we really understand, then we can be much caring about the local environment. So that means here what is happening? We are all trying to enjoy the benefits of the nature rather than working for the betterment of the nature. So this is a very wrong mentality, wrong tendency we have been developed in our life. Receive. If you look at the human being throughout the globe, the biologically humans are more or less same, but internal parts are having different. See, biologically we are same, but the different environment decides the survival of different human beings. So means the people living in a very cold climate is having different adaptive strategy. The people living in the human being living in a hot climate is having different adaptive strategy. So that means the human beings living in a different kind of environmental setup is having different kind of adaptive strategy and adaptive capability. So what is happening? So means here the human beings looks the nature in a different perspective, in a different domains. So here the human being, how they're coping with the nature, how they're dealing with the nature, means it completely depends upon the local environment. Suppose you see, the people who are grown up in the state of Odisha, if we'll throw them in the Kashmir, they may not survive much because they are not much exposed to the cold. And the people who are living always in the Kashmir, if you throw them in Odisha, specifically in a mining and industrial belt, they may be in trouble because the temperature is high in the summer. So what I'm telling you, see, so the different human beings adopt the local environment with the passage of time. It is not that they will die, rather it will take some time to adapt to the local environment. But if the human being destroy the nature in the name of development, in the name of survival, in the name of technology, then what will happen? We all will be the loser. See, earlier, if you look that historically, if you look, our religion always teaches us how to perceive the nature, how to fulfill the interest of the human beings, how to protect our belief system, how to protect our social structures. Our religion, our myths, our belief system, our local laws, our traditional customary laws have actually socialized us in such a way that we are very much friendly with the nature. We are means completely in favor of the environment. That is exactly our mentality. The spiritual teaching have celebrated and sacred our ties to the non-human worlds, reminding us of our delicate and inseparable relationship with the air, land, water, and fellow living beings. So means what is I'm telling here? Our spiritual teaching has always reminded us that what kind of a relationship we have with our local environment. What exactly the human being has to do for the nature. So means you see, we have a great tradition of respecting the environment, respecting the nature, because you see, in our Indian society, we worship tree, we worship moon, we worship sun, we worship the ocean, we worship the rivers. Okay? Because each and every domain of our survival, we worship the compared to the nature. And if you see, even if you look into this kind of, if in your life you come across the Sandhya Arati in the river Ganga. So what exactly they recite? There is no mantra exactly, because it is maybe mantra for you. But if you understand the real mantra of that Ganga Arati, you will understand that the philosophy is, oh Ma Ganga, I am taking an oath, I am promising that I will save you. I will never create any harm to you. But the moment I am taking an kind of oath there, I am doing the Ganga Arati, then next within a second I am polluting the Ganga. I mean, the person who knows that our religion always guides us to protect the local environment. See how the concept of clan came to exist. We all are having the clan and gotra. It is not only in India, it is throughout the globe. Why the concept of clan came? Can anybody tell me why the concept of clan came? Hello? Anybody? Huh? Not a single person. Hello?
Sir, could you repeat the question?
I'm telling why the concept of clan came to exist in our world. Gotra, because we have a philosophy that marrying within the caste but marrying outside the clan, Gotra. Why the concept of clan came? What is the necessity of bringing the concept Gotra, the clan?
Sir, for diversification,
Hmm?
uh, making relations, making a family bigger or making a relation bigger, some sort of a diversification.
No, exactly. I'll tell you the details in the letter and when I'll teach you the research and all, what are the necessity of clan and all. But I'm just telling you for the see uh, when the population increased, the human beings started extracting more and more to the nature. Then the same human being during that time thought that if you will not impose something culturally, so then it will be very difficult to conserve the nature. Thinking in that line, they impose certain restriction that some group of people are being named as a clan, because if you look into our clan is mostly either in the name of tree or in the name of animals or in the name of some rishi or that is sant. So what exactly happened? So it means the human beings whose clan is being confined to a particular animal will not destroy or not kill that animal. Rather, they will help in conserving and regeneration of those animals, while others will kill. At the same time, the persons whose clan is named after a particular tree will try to conserve that tree. So that what will happen? Everybody in the earth will be not the enemy of the environment. Rather, some people will be very friendly to that environment and they will try to protect that, while the others may destroy. So that the different groups will have an intention to conserve the different resources, and the persons whose clans are named after a particular saint will try to protect those areas where that particular saint was residing. So that what will happen? The destruction philosophy will go down and the people can conserve the resource. I'll tell you details in the later on. So here what exactly happened? So that means the idea which was linked with the human beings from cultural perspective view, so that is melting down. So the human being is losing its stand. What exactly was written in our scripture, what exactly was followed since ages through different religious scripture. So but see, the man and nature relationship has become completely ambiguous now, and now nature is being seen as a completely as a provider and as an enemy. Because you see, why enemy? Because the human being is not considering now nature as a friend, rather as an enemy, because nature is providing, so I have to extract. That is the main intention. Because the human being, you see, even you think about your own friend. If one of your, suppose you have a friend who meets all your requirement at every point of time, he's your best friend, but the day when a day comes, you ask something and then he told no, I have today I have nothing to give you, then next day he becomes your enemy. Getting my point? Because this is the human tendency. The human being is always having an intention to extract, and as much as can be extracted, they extract, because human being becomes very opportunistic in each and every course of life. Since the beginning of the life, now human being is becoming very opportunistic. And if you look at this also in this context, I'll just give a relationship between man and nature in the quoting some kind of religion view from different religion perspective. I'll elaborate details when I'll teach you the culture, religion, and environment. But you see, if you look at this human and environment relationship, the I'll think about if you look at the Bibles, and in the Bible, in Genesis 1.28, it is mentioned that the world was first created, and the man as an entity is considered as separate from the environment and considered as a superior to the nature was created and given the task to conquer. So that means in Christian tradition, man is considered as an apart from the nature and is called to dominate it. Getting my point? In what exactly the Bible claims that? The Bible claims that the first the world was created, and then the man was created. Then man was given the task to conquer the nature, and its philosophy claims that the man and environments are separate domains. Here, man is apart from the nature. Man is not the part of the nature. But here, what exactly is the they're telling? It is the goal of the human being is to conquer the environment, to rule the environment, to conquer the environment. So, you see, in the conquer, either you may extract, or in the conquer, you may protect. But it never shows the human and man are part of life. They're detached to each other, and the human being is given the charge of conquering. The human being is given the charge, because you see, suppose I am a king. If I am conquering, my responsibility also to protect my humans, my all citizens. Because it is this prime minister of a country is conquering, it does not mean that he will destroy. The responsibility to serve, to protect. The same philosophy was also here, that but it was telling that the human being has to conquer. So, but it at the same time also the Pope John Paul XI has also told that it is a common responsibility of all the citizens to meet the ecological crisis in the globe. No religion is against the nature, but the philosophy of a particular religion provides the various methods of conservation of the resources. Getting my point? No religion in the world is against the nature, but there are the different religions have different kind of approach of conservation and protection of the environment and the nature and the resources. In the Hindu religion, Hindu philosophy, we always believe that our worldview is that man, environment is above the nature, because there are three philosophy comes here. The man is above nature, nature is above man, and the both are interdependent. See, when the science earlier, the human being was thinking that the nature controls the human beings. Then in this name of science and technology, in the name of science and technology, we believe that when we adopted the new science and new technology, we thought that in the name of science, we can conquer the environment. We can dominate the environment because we have new modern technology. Because we can do whatever we want. But what ultimately happened? We have no option rather we surrender in front of the environment. Right? Because you see, now when disaster is coming, can we control disaster? We can only give it early warning, early signal, a disaster is coming, a flood is coming, a cyclone is coming. When a tsunami is coming, only we can, what exactly our scientists are doing? Are they able to protect or stop the tsunami? Are they able to stop the cyclone? No. What they do? They are trying for early prediction. If they will get an early prediction, then they can intimate it to the local people so that local people can go to the safer place and survive. Means how they are trying that with the science and technology, how they can go for zero casualty in the form of giving an early information. But not the question is that we are a success in stopping all this tsunami, stopping the disaster, stopping the flood, stopping the cyclone, stopping the drought. We have not succeeded either in the form of, even though we are highly technocrats and highly adopted the modern technology and science. Again, what I'm telling you, see, so that's why again human being is realizing that nature is always above man. If anything, any harm will do, so then immediately the nature will react. What people do about their ecology depends on what they think about themselves in relation to things around them. Human ecology is completely conditioned by the belief system of the nature and destiny, that is by the religion. Because our religion in Hindu culture, our religion guides our belief system, guides our activities, guides our survival, which I have already told you, because we have a tradition of worshipping the rivers, we have a tradition of worshipping the moon, sun, nature, and if people look at the people living at least in the lap of the nature, specifically the tribal communities, they celebrate different kind of festivals in a different occasions to worship the nature. And even whenever there is no rain, the people celebrate different kind of, they go to the mountain, they go to the forest, and then they do the Giri Govardhan Puja. They do they worship the mountains, because there is a perception in our society that, and scientifically, that when the clouds touch the hills, so then the rain comes and all. So that's why people worship the hills. Through that, hills can attract the clouds and then it may rains. So there are different kind of things the people used to celebrate. People used to do for frog dancing, because there is a belief that if the frogs will create sounds, then it will be followed by rain and all. So anyhow, there are different kind of philosophy, different kind of approach people adopt. We strive to separate ourselves from the, but you see, means what I'm telling, our religion specifically in Indian perspective, you see, our religion always claims that man and nature are not separate. Man and nature are completely interrelated. So means man cannot survive without nature. Here, both are neither a conqueror nor a citizen. So here, both are depending on each other for their own survival. We cannot separate. But in the contemporary days, what is happening? We strive to separate ourselves from the nature, from our own surrounding, by artificially creating the closed environment, including our homes and cars, everything. See, now what exactly happening? In Western philosophy, they always believe that man is above the nature, for which they introduce the concept of big buildings, apartments culture. If you look at the apartment culture, the big building culture, this 100-story building culture. So what is happening? Along with the utilization of space as mode of ecological adaptation, lots of cultural aspect linked here. See what is happening here, you see. Now people think that Western philosophy always claims that man is above the nature and man should not live with the nature. Man should always stay above the nature, for which the big building and apartment culture has come up. But specifically, if you look into the Indian context, in India, we don't have earlier this concept of, and mostly the people live in a kind of earlier, they stay in the mod houses, they live in the lap of the nature, and mostly people plant trees and trees just side by their house because they want to survive with the nature. But now you see what kind of culture we have adopted. We never wants to live with the nature. We always wants, because now if you see now, think about whenever we are selling and you go to the different cities and all, you'll see that earlier, the higher you go, the price of the apartment used to be less. But now what is happening? The higher you go, the price of apartment is increasing because nobody wants to stay in the ground floor. Nobody wants to, even the people are preparing to go tough because they will be away from the pollution and all. So they don't want to even first floor, second floor. Rather, they are preferring for 10th floor, 12th floor. See, this kind of tendency is being developed. And if you now rented house, most of the people are not willing to take a ground floor house and rent. It is not that from security perspective, rather they are having a threat that different insect, there's the snakes and other things. There is a fear. Means we are not understanding that all these animals, creatures are also living in the nature and we have to live with all of them. Because we are all part of the nature. We cannot detach ourselves from the nature. But it is not happening. Whenever we are traveling in a car, what exactly we are doing? We are acquainted with ourselves with the AC, air conditioner. We want to live in the air conditioner. We never wants to get the cool air from the outside. We always close the door and then use the air conditioner. While we are staying at home, mostly we love to close the doors, close the windows and on our AC and survive. And what is happening? We are not understanding. We are all very thrust to live in the city areas and at least small quarters we have where we are not in a. We are never bother whether sunlight is coming to my house or not. And why do you know why most of the urban people suffer from different diseases? Because they don't have proper air crossing and also the the fall of sunlight at their house, which means they're always exposed to the electric bulb, they're always exposed to the air conditioner, they're always exposed to the closed environment, for which the different disease and everything is arising. So means if the moment I become against the nature, the moment I don't want to cope with my surrounding nature and surrounding environment, I'm really a loser. So that means you see, so human beings have a kind of always the human beings are becoming a very much sufferer because of their anti-environment approach. They never wants to live with the nature. They are always developing a tendency of Western philosophy to stay above the nature. So any doubt till now? Hello.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So then I'll stop here. Then the next we'll discuss in the next class.